So by now you've taken the LASSI a second time this semester, and this short video is going to talk you through how you might begin to understand and interpret your two different sets of LASSI scores. So as a reminder, this is kind of our signature self-assessment for all sections of EPY 150. And just as a reminder, this is just information that can help you. It doesn't mean you're a bad or a good person. It doesn't have some sort of cosmic existential meaning to it. It's really just information that you can learn to use in your life to be more helpful. So on the screen here, I have included a sample of a student from the past who took the LASSI pre and post. So each time you took the test, you got a copy of your own report. And there should be a date at the top with your name, your email address, and your student key. So those are all blacked out for you, but you can see this particular student improved in some areas, and in some areas the student stayed the same. So let's look at a breakdown of where this student improved and didn't improve. So you'll notice you might have different scores. You might even have some pre-test scores that are higher than your post-test scores. So try not to assign any big value judgments to decreasing versus increasing, or even no change versus increasing or decreasing. So notice this particular student did improve in certain areas, but some of the areas in which this student improved still was in the below 50%. So you might ask yourself, like, if this was you, what would you think about this improving 50? So this particular student was not overly anxious, but still they were managed to decrease their anxiety. So remember, anxiety is looked at in the opposite. This student started out with a very low attitude and interest score, and even though it's only increased to 35, it's still an increase. It's still a slight change in this student's attitude. The student made some valuable changes in their ability to concentrate, but notice they didn't make significant changes in terms of how well they're processing information or remembering information. So that might be something we want to look at again. Also notice motivation, which we know is incredibly important, which refers to goal setting and all sorts of other things, is something that was low to begin with, and it did increase, but perhaps it could be increased even more in the future with some more changes in behavior. Self-testing started out high and only increased. That's the really interesting thing. You can think, oh, I'm doing great on something, and you can still improve even more. Isn't that cool? So selecting main idea started out pretty good. 55% is pretty darn good. And it stayed the same. So there's no change, but hey, pretty good. For this student, test taking started out at 40 percentile and went all the way up to 70%, 75%. Now, what would you think about if you had that kind of score difference in test taking? What would you think if you started out at 25 in time management and went up to 70? So these are kind of up to your own, you know best about yourself and what either attitude changes or behavior changes, perception changes you made just within one semester. And finally, you can see the UAR, which is asking for help, didn't change. Okay, not a big surprise. This is more, oftentimes this kind of interest or attitude is really related in some way to your personality, and some people are more likely to ask for help than others. But still, you can make changes. So just as you'll see here, I've just put up the scales here, and I would submit to you that this particular student might want to think about these 3 scores: information processing, motivation, and asking for help. I happen to know that these are incredibly important in helping you improve in school and life. So even though they improved in motivation, they could actually keep working on this one. And the ones that stayed the same and were kind of on the lower scale, that might be something this particular student might want to say, hey, how come I'm still having so much problem with information processing? Maybe it's a memory thing. Maybe I need to apply some more memory techniques. And maybe I need to just get out of my comfort zone every now and then and ask for help. So now it's your job to take your information and apply some of these questions, like why did it change? Why did it go up? Why did it go down? And then finally, really integrate whatever insights you've had about yourself and your pre and post LASSI scores into your future educational and career goals. And I want to remind you to make sure to integrate any insights you have into your final essay and your final presentation for EPY 150 this semester. Thank you for your time and attention.